you have not seen the full Delphi video, stop scrolling right now.
The full Delphi video is 43 seconds long, and it is a part of history. 2 victims in this case filmed this themselves and helped catch their unaliver. This is the first case in my series on crimes on camera, and this one definitely proves that you're not going to go unnoticed and that everyone is watching. Delphi, Indiana, December 13th, 2017. 13-year-old Abigail Williams, 14-year-old Liberty German begged their family to go and do something out on their day off of school. So their sister dropped them off at this little walking spot on a bridge called the Monhigh Bridge. It's over Deer Creek there in Delphi, and it is definitely one of those spots that people went to walk, maybe enjoy the outdoors, and kids just went there to hang out. They got dropped off at 1:35, and they were supposed to be back by 3:15 at the meeting spot to meet their dad to go home. Abby and Libby were best friends, just having fun, and on about 2:07, there was a picture that Libby took of Abby just walking on the bridge. There was no one around. It was just a fun little Snapchat. She took it to Snapchat, and then we get the next developments. The girls failed to meet their pickup at 3:15. The parents went and tried to look for them till about 5, and then they were like, that's it, we're going to call in to the police. At this point, they thought Libby and Abby were just lost in the woods. They got lost or they got hurt, and they're in the woods and they're lonely and it's going to be cold outside. So there was a search. There was a big search, and this went on into the night. But unfortunately, they could not find these 2 girls. Unfortunately, when they started looking in daylight, they did find the girls, and they were unalived. They were on the banks of Deer Creek. Police went to work fast on this one, and they found quite a bit of evidence right away. One of them being Liberty's phone. Public didn't know for a few days was that Liberty filmed their attacker, and she got the best evidence that she could in this case. This person might have went completely without being caught if it wasn't for this young girl filming. Just the very next day, police put out a picture of the suspect. It was this kind of older looking chubby man with a blue jacket, hands in pockets, head down, blue jeans, and it kind of looked like every man. You can't see his face, and he was quickly dubbed Bridge Guy. On February 22nd, police released the audio of Bridge Guy saying down the hill. Now, there was a search for this person. Everyone, I'm sure in Delphi, but around the U.S. was looking for Bridge Guy. We were looking for men that looked like him and sounded like him, and we were trying to figure out who this was. A few months later in July, a sketch was released. This sketch was of what people had thought they saw on the bridge that day, and it just looked like every man you know. And so we didn't get a whole lot of evidence. How could it go with one man who we have on video and audio? How could it go for so long without finding this person when the whole crime is caught on camera? 2019, there was another sketch released, and that one was a little bit different, but there wasn't anything that came out of it. Wasn't really anything new until 2022. And then boom, we got something big. There was a man arrested, and his name was Richard Allen. Quite a bit of evidence against Richard Allen, so let's look at that first. He, back when the incident happened, actually self-reported that he was on the bridge that day. He said that he was there that day and that time. He put himself at the crime scene. He also stated that he was wearing like either a blue or black jacket at the time. And when you see pictures, it's the same jacket. He also kind of looked like and kind of sounded like Bridge Guy. New details about the scene that a lot of other people didn't know, and his car matched the one that was at the scene. Witness testimony actually put him there. They saw Richard Allen. They saw him muddy and bloody that day, and more evidence against him was there was a bullet from a thing that matched Richard Allen at the scene. This bullet came from his thing. While Richard Allen was in custody between the time awaiting trial, he talked. He talked a lot. He confessed over 60 times to committing this crime. To his wife, to cellmates, to anybody who would listen. He told them, I did this. I did this to Libby and Abby. He said it a lot. With all of this, there is still people who doubt that Richard Allen did this. And that is because there is not a lot of evidence other than circumstantial. There was no DNA in this case, no fingerprints, and the thing that the crime happened with is gone. There is no weapon in this case that was found. I'm one that always says that witness testimony are not reliable. You can't go by that, but people say that witness testimony changed a lot in this case. Some others say that they had saw him and that is it and that's done. But I believe that you can't really go off of just that. Also, people believe that while he was being held, all those confessions were because that he was being driven crazy by the conditions that he was in police custody. I don't know what to believe there, but there's a lot of other evidence that puts him at the scene, and I do think that video and that audio is very, very telling. The trial began in October of 2024, and by November, we had a conviction. Richard Allen would spend 130 years in prison for what he did to Libby and Abby. Recently, the whole bridge video has been released, and it has been analyzed by a lot of people. Some people say that they saw somebody else. Some people say that that's not Richard Allen. Some people say that maybe that's not any detail to the crime, that he was just there. But to me, it sounds like those girls were scared and they were helpless, and it is so heartbreaking watching and listening to this video. I've listened to it a few times. It's heartbreaking. I want to cry listening to it. I have cried listening to it because these girls just seemed like they were terrified of him. And I do believe at the very end he pulled some kind of something on them, and that is why they listened. Because he says down the hill in a very different voice, and the girls freak out. And so I definitely think that this video helped catch the right person. I do believe that Richard Allen did this. But what do you think? Because there are a lot of people who are going back and forth on this. What are your thoughts? Do you think Richard Allen is guilty? Do you think there was someone else involved or who did this? Please put in my comments below all of your opinions. And thank you for joining me for this series. I will be back tomorrow with more crimes caught on camera. And remember, you cannot hide anymore. Cameras are everywhere, and we're watching.